Support for Gulf States Gumbo comes from the Britannia Theater, uptown in New Orleans, playing new movies, classics, and unique programming. Join the Britannia for Downton Abbey and One Battle After Another on 70mm film. Information at thebritannia.com for all showtimes.
From the Gulf States Newsroom, this is the Gulf States Gumbo, your weekly serving of stories from Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. I'm managing editor Ryan Vasquez, chopping it up this week. On today's show, the Deep South is plenty spooky, but which of our states has the scariest stories? To find out, we sent out 3 reporters to find the best goosebump-raising tales from their states. And now we're gathering them around the podcast campfire to share and compete a little bit. We also want to let you know we're taking off our journalism caps this week, and we're just sharing some fun, spooky legends from our 3-state region. First up, haunting Alabama, is our sports and culture reporter, Joseph King. Welcome.
What's up, Ryan?
Next up, bringing the Louisiana frights, is our public health reporter, Drew Hawkins.
Hey, y'all, I am definitely ready to bring it. I feel sorry for anyone who any story has to compete with this one.
And finally, here with some Mississippi mystery is our community engagement reporter, Elise Gregg. Welcome, Elise.
Hey there. The only thing I'm scared of is the competition right now.
So, Joseph, let's start with you. What story do you have to prove Alabama is our scariest state?
All right. So before I get started, I want to ask y'all something. What do you think are the scariest words ever to be uttered?
I would say, "Are you sure it's clean?" From my mom, maybe.
Anybody else got any guesses?
I mean, in radio world, I always feel like, wait a minute, did I have my mic on? That's pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
That is scary. Ryan, you got one?
Did you pay the rent this month?
That's spooky too. Okay. So how about get back to work?
Okay.
That phrase is said to be echoed at Sloss Furnace in Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham was known for its coal and iron, right? Those resources helped Birmingham grow at a fast rate, and this is actually how the city got its nickname, the Magic City. Sloss Furnace opened in the 1800s to produce pig iron. Working in the furnaces was excruciating. People were poisoned by carbon monoxide and getting crushed by machinery. And in the summer, temperatures would reach around 120 degrees. Now, imagine you working in hell and your boss was mean as hell too. James Wormwood was a foreman for the night shift at Sloss. And it's said that nearly 50 men died under his supervision and many were left permanently disfigured. I'm talking about, they saying people were going blind, people were losing limbs, all that. Workers at the time said he encouraged them to work in risky conditions, like increasing the temperature of the boiling iron and working faster, and he rarely let them take breaks. Many times, workers would have to work in these conditions for 12 hours straight. But what's crazy is, in some of these stories surrounding the Wormwood myth, is that he didn't even work with the furnaces. He was just yelling orders. How would you feel about that?
Not very good, yeah.
Yeah, no, not great.
So one day, Wormwood unfortunately slipped and fell in a 30-foot-long furnace and died an excruciating death in the bubbling hot iron. Some say the workers got fed up with Wormwood and fed him to the furnace, but who knows? They eventually had to get rid of that graveyard shift at Sloss Furnace because too many workers were dying. But if you visit Sloss Furnace, you might get a glimpse of James Wormwood, and he might put you to work.
I mean, that's really putting another deeper meaning to the idea of a graveyard shift, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And nothing like a scary story that encourages labor unions.
And this is before OSHA and all of that, so imagine.
Yeah, is there a ghost OSHA? There should be. A ghost OSHA. That's
a
good.
good
Yeah.
one.
All right, that was a pretty good story, Joseph. I'll give you the credit there, especially because, it's grounded in reality. And that is why I think my story is scary and better, because this is something that actually happens to people, right? It might have even happened to someone you know. It might have even happened to you. It definitely happened to a man named Richard Lewis in New Iberia. It was reported in the news and everything on Channel 3, Acadiana's news channel, which is in western Louisiana, which is Cajun country.
Richard Lewis remembers that night vividly. He says it still frightens him decades later.
So Richard wakes up one night and he's paralyzed with fear. He can't breathe. It's like someone or something is smothering him. He's looking around his room. He's trying to get up, but he can't move. He says he's tried screaming out for someone to help him, but it felt like he was drowning and the words wouldn't come out. So he fights and he twists and he tries his best to move, and eventually he's able to fall out of the bed, and he says the moment he hit the ground, it stopped and he could move his arms again. So, understandably, Richard was pretty terrified. I mean, I don't know how you guys would feel in that situation.
I've had a few nightmares like that, actually.
So, like I said, this might have happened to you.
They say, when you eat hot sauce, you have nightmares and stuff like that. So every time I ate hot sauce, I felt like that.
Now, the news report does not contain Richard's diet, but I can say that he, like I think a lot of us, wanted to know what happened. He tried looking around. He couldn't find any answers until he started talking to some of his elders. In the Cajun community, older family members are the ones who sort of keep the history and explanations for things like this. So that's what he does. And here he is in that news report talking about it.
When you don't know what you're going through and everything like this, and then when you explain it to somebody, that's older than you, and they'll tell you that was Kushma.
Kushma. Have you guys ever heard of the Kushma?
Nope.
I haven't, but I've had nightmares like that, though.
Yeah, it definitely had something like that happen to me.
Okay, so this is, like I said, it may have been someone you know, may have even been you. The Kushma is sometimes it's described as a demon or a witch, a dark, shadowy figure, but it is there to hurt you. Sometimes it holds you down. It can try smothering you or crushing you by sitting on your chest. And it really comes as a punishment for your sins. It's rooted in a blend of religious elements from Cajun, French, African, and Native American traditions. So the name comes from French, cauchemar, which means nightmare. But you may be more familiar with this idea of sleep paralysis or a sleep paralysis demon, if you guys remember those memes. Are y'all familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So sleep paralysis demon, that is the cauchemar. And sleep paralysis is a real thing. It's a documented medical phenomenon. Basically, there's a disconnect between your brain and your body. So your mind is awake, but you can't move your body, which is definitely terrifying. But even though we know sleep paralysis is a real thing, we have an idea of what's happening from sort of a medical, physiological standpoint, we still don't know why it happens. And it's sort of like dreams. We know something is happening, but we can't fully explain how or why. So, you can try to keep the cauchemar away with prayers or like a rosary, but you can't really escape it if it wants to get you. We all have to sleep. It's one of the most vulnerable human states. But that is what's really scary to me, because sleep paralysis is real and we don't know why. So who's to say it's not the cauchemar?
Well, there goes my nap.
I actually was afraid to go to sleep growing up because I was afraid I was going to get attacked in my sleep.
This is hitting really close to home for you, Joseph.
Yeah, man. I hated Freddy Krueger, too.
All right. Imagine, if you will, that you're in Pascagoula, Mississippi, 1973. You're a local shipyard worker. It's the end of the day, and you'd like to go fishing. The river right under Highway 90 is exactly where you want to be. You grab your gear, you settle in, and the evening settles in with you. You look down at the fish below, grinning just as you're about to hook one, and you're unaware that someone or something is looking down at you the exact same way. You're Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, and you're mere minutes away from being abducted by strange beings from another planet. The air around 45-year-old Hickson and teenage Parker, which was silent just moments before, filled with a hissing sound from behind them. Behind them was an oval spacecraft holding 3 alien beings. The gray 6-foot-tall creatures hardly made a sound as they floated over to the pair. And as they got closer, Parker and Hickson looked on in horror at these half-robotic, half-organic creatures who, I looked at pictures of them, they almost look like root vegetables come to life. Imagine, if you will, a giant rutabaga coming towards you. And they've got these...
That's terrifying. Not the rutabaga.
Well, the rutabagas with giant pinchers for hands, which is how they grabbed Parker and Hickson. Parker fainted, leaving only Hickson awake to witness as two bright blue lights also floated towards them, and the two were taken on board for examination. Hickson was paralyzed the entire time as the two were poked and prodded, and they said a giant robotic eye stared them down the whole time. Neither of them remembers very much after that, but either way, neither of them made the cut for a good catch because the aliens dumped the pair back on the riverbank and shot off into the night. So the two decided initially not to share this with anyone, one of those fishing stories you kind of keep to yourself, but eventually, worried that something might happen to someone else in town, they decided to call the Keesler Air Force Base. Keesler Air Force Base told them this was way out of their depth and directed them to the local county sheriff who, might have been better equipped to handle something like that. And here's kind of where the rubber hits the road on that story, because the sheriff's office was more than happy to take their report, but they thought the two were faking the whole thing and that it was just nothing more than a hoax or a prank. So after some initial questioning, they left the two alone, secretly recording them with a tape recorder left in the room, hoping for a kind of gotcha moment to catch the two joking, laughing, saying, we got them, we pulled the wool over their eyes. Instead, the private conversation showed that the two were genuinely frightened and had definitely seen something.
I had been through enough of hell on this earth, and now I have to go through something like this. If they could have done anything to us today and hurt me, why they just take that?
Anytime I hear an old recording like that, I feel creeped out. I'm gonna be honest. They could be saying anything, and it sounds scary to me.
The whole aesthetic, the crackling sound, yeah, definitely.
I feel like I was going through hell.
Like, that's scary. Like, just hearing that. Yeah.
No, very spooky, Elise, definitely.
And it doesn't end there. Years later, in an interview with the Clarion Ledger, Hickson recounted how in 1974, his family was followed in their car by bright lights above them one night. And that same year, while he was squirrel hunting, he saw a spacecraft in the woods and said he heard voices in his head. Parker rarely spoke about the incident in later years, but it would turn out that the two were not alone in what they saw in 1973. In 2019, a woman named Maria Blair said she was also there that night, waiting along the same river for her husband to finish work, and she saw the blue lights that had terrified Parker and Hickson. And both Parker and Hickson have passed away since, survived by their interviews with the press and books that the two wrote about their encounters. And other folks came out later, too, to say that they saw blue lights around Pascagoula that night. And who knows, maybe the aliens will be back to Mississippi sometime.
It sounds like they're basically going to Mississippi for fishing.
When I heard that, I thought about the song, I always feel like somebody's watching me. I hope that sounds good on the radio.
But is this a Mississippi or is this a Martian legend or Venus legend?
I was going to say Pascagoula has a historical marker where the abduction allegedly occurred. So
okay, so all of our things are definitely real. These definitely happen.
100%.
I'm gonna say, for legal purposes, I don't know. It's a myth. This one, we took our journalism caps off. Remember that.
That's right. Mm-hmm. This has not been vetted or fully fact-checked. Yeah.
Well, those are definitely some scary stories with a wide range of appeal. We want to hear from you, though. Who had the scariest story? You can send a message to the Gulf States Newsroom Instagram or email us at connect@gulfstatesnewsroom.org. And while you're there, tell us your favorite scary story. This week's show is cooked up by the Gulf States Newsroom team. Our theme music is by DJ Supreme. Special thanks to our partner stations, WBHM, Mississippi Public Broadcasting, WWNO, and WRKF. You can find us in your podcast feeds every Friday. Look us up and be sure to subscribe. Again, I'm your host, Ryan Vasquez, and thanks for listening. Don't forget to stir your room.